Here we go. Welcome, Bad Actor Podcast. It's me, Ty Hubbard. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about this crazy game of acting, the craft, the business, movies, TV shows, and how you can stay in it without losing your mind. Start off this first episode with a little revelation I had about 4-5 years ago. I remember I was filming the biggest audition of my life, Star Wars. And I'm in New York, and I'm filming this episode of FBI Most Wanted. And I'm preparing for this audition like my life depends on it. All of my MFA, actory, training, shit like that, it's all going into this audition. I had like 3 days to prep it, so I got like time, right? Every beat mapped out. Every line I got down perfect. It was for the Obi-Wan show. I don't know if you guys, the show was okay, but at the time, I was really excited. Actually, I kind of liked the show. It had a good little battle at the end. They did this edit online where they cut the show down into like an hour and a half movie, and that's fucking good. That's, I think, better than the show. Anyway, all my friends are hyping me up because I'm telling them about it. I got this audition for Star Wars. They're like, no way, bro, Star Wars? Like, this is it, man. This is the game changer. This is the life's about to change. Turn it in. A few days go by. I don't hear anything. Again, I put everything into this audition. Everything's mapped out. And so I started doing that toxic thing. That toxic thing that actors do. My most toxic trait. I'm texting my agent. I'm overthinking it. I'm watching the audition over. I'm like, was everything good? Was that good for the character? Texting my agent, my manager. Do we hear anything yet? And I don't get it. Actually, fun fact, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers ended up getting that role. Tell me how that works. I don't know. Anyway, I don't get it. And I'm bummed, discouraged. I'm like thinking to myself, like, oh shit, man, I must be a terrible actor. I attach so much of my worth as a human being into that audition. Now, I know that might sound dramatic, but if you're an actor and you love the craft as much as I do, you know how real that feeling is. Putting your worth into the auditions and then not hearing anything. And you feel like you do all this work that goes nowhere, that goes into silence. Because, with mostly anything else besides like arts, if you do everything right, prepare the hardest, you should get the job. Or at least you should get acknowledged for doing good work, But that's not how this game is. It's not how it is. Same month, I get this random audition for this indie movie called Dead Wrong with Rob Schneider, who I didn't know he was in it at the time. And I just saw this indie audition. And I'm rushing to work, man. This is before the strike and everything. It's like a last minute audition. It's due that evening, same day audition. And I'm rushing to work. I got like 10, 15 minutes. And I almost don't do it because I don't have time to do this the right way. My right way of preparing for an audition. I don't have time to map it out. I don't have time to show them all my nice MFA acting skills that I learned. I don't have time to build a character. I don't even have time to memorize my lines. And everything I've been taught says, if you can't do it right, then don't do it. But fuck it, I did it anyway. Because I don't memorize the lines. I tape them on a wall behind the camera. I choose a quick action. And I think I wanted his character to dap me up because I wanted to play physical action. And it was a physically imposing character. He just got out of jail, so I did some push-ups to get a pump. Literally everything that I tell actors not to do, I do. And I'll fucking book it. Book that role. Tell me how that makes sense. Turns out, when I show up on set, it's for a Rob Schneider movie. And Rob Schneider's not as big as he once was, but still, it's a big name. And I got this full-on scene with Rob Schneider, and I get to spend like 8 hours on set with him. It was freaking awesome. I think it's really good that I didn't know that Rob Schneider was in the scene with me in the audition, or else I would have prepped way harder. I would have probably called off of work and cared way too much and straight up acted my way out of that audition. I probably would have done some crazy shit and prepared way too hard and, would have done some overacting bullshit. 2 different auditions, same exact month. One I almost didn't do was the one I got. One I controlled everything, one I didn't control anything. And my point is this, like, don't put your worth into these jobs. Actors in the beginning, they think they're in control of booking the job. You're not. It's not your story. It's the writer's story. It's the director's story. It's the producer's story. You could give the best audition of your life and not get it, not hear anything. You know, you could remind someone of their brother and lose the job because of that. Acting isn't like a 50-yard dash where the best actor wins. It's way more political than that. And if you tie your worth into booking these jobs, you're going to hate your life. Because what I think books jobs in this business, unless you're creating it yourself, it's not control. It's alignment. It's a little luck, right place, right time, and it's shit you can't control. I didn't book that Rob Schneider movie because I worked the hardest. I guarantee you there are actors that did more prep work for that role than me. I booked it because for whatever reason that wasn't in my control, I was right. Here's the balance. Of course, you got to prep. You got to put a little bit of care and you got to put pressure into it. But if you hold on too tight, you put too much self-worth into it, you burn out. It's like, I don't know if you guys play Mario Kart, but before the race starts, you hit the gas a little bit. You hit the gas at the right moment, right? You get a little turbo boost. You hold on to it too long, you spin out right before the race starts. What's yours will be yours. Don't burn yourself out trying to force it and put too much self-worth into these auditions like I did. All right, so with all that being said, let's get down to the main thing I want to talk about in the very first episode of this Bad Actor podcast. So I'm going to pull up this news article. Actually, I watched this clip from an Actor Despairs podcast, great podcast. And he was talking to this one actor, Kirk Acevedo, and I'm pulling up this article in the Hollywood Reporter here. In a candid interview on the podcast, an Actor Despairs, Acevedo opened up about how the shifting economics of the industry and the loss of creative jobs have impacted his paychecks and opportunities. Middle-class actors being squeezed out, says Kirk Acevedo. Wow, that's depressing as hell. I mean, this guy's worked. And he's just talking about how there's no jobs for even like these classic journeyman actors anymore. He's been in Terrence Malick's A Thin Red Line, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, Band of Brothers, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Ooh, that's the best one. Arrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Law and Order, Cold Case, whatever. This dude's been working. Since the 1990s, Acevedo has remained a consistently employed in-demand talent, achieving the often elusive acting feat. So I went from working nonstop to now I got to sell my house. And everyone's going through this. I have so many friends, people you know, actors you don't, that have to sell their homes. And he goes on and on and on. That's some depressing shit, bro. But that's the reality of it, man. That's the reality. I think that we need to rewire our brains a little bit as actors away from this false reality. At least this was my false reality, that I was gonna solely support myself financially from acting. I'm sorry, that's real. Like, that was my dream. It's still my dream. That's still the goal, right? It's like, if I could just support myself financially from acting, I don't need to be a movie star. I don't need to be Brad Pitt. I don't need to be Tom Cruise. I just want to be working. I just want to be working constantly. And getting gigs and getting jobs and just be able to support myself. That's not realistic. What else are you going to do? We got freaking superhero franchise at the movies, and we got Oscar winners and big names doing TV. Nicole Kidman's in like 3 shows right now. David Harbour's in like 3 shows, right? Jason Bateman's in like fucking everything. He's like doing something on Apple, he's doing something on Netflix, he's doing something on HBO. I mean, my goodness, dude doesn't stop. That's crazy, because it's like those roles, those little guest stars that used to go to like kind of unknown actors, I mean, they're still getting them, but the competition's fiercer right now. It's a little tough when you're going out for a role and Jason Bateman gets it. You know, it's a little tough when I'm going out for a Star Wars thing and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers gets it. I mean, what the fuck is that about? So we got to find something as actors. You got to find something that aligns with your acting, that gives you the freedom to support that soul work. The journeyman actor, the guy who worked constantly to support himself, that version of the career, man, it just don't exist anymore. This isn't a salary job. You don't clock in. You don't get paid every 2 weeks. You book a job, you get paid, you go home, you're done. You're back to zero. You're back to bartending or nannying or walking your dogs or whatever the fuck you got to do to make money. You're unemployed. You're unemployed again after an acting job. Oh my God, what do I do? I pulled up these numbers. Numbers are insane. 160,000 actors are in SAG, Screen Actors Guild, the union. And only 12% of those actors qualify for health insurance. Health insurance is like, you got to make like 26.4K a year. Let's just say 27K a year from acting. Only 12% of actors are making 27K a year from acting. And then get this, and only around 7% are making over 80K. That's not middle class, bro. That's fucking poor in California and in New York. I mean, let's say you're making 100K a year from acting. That's like 10 guest spots, maybe. 10 guest spots a year. Maybe recurring, maybe series reg, whatever. After taxes, after paying your rents, try living in California after that. You got to pay your agents, you got to pay your managers, 10%, 10%, 20%, whatever. Try living in California after that on 80K. Try having a family. Try having kids. We got to stop lying to ourselves, man. Acting is not this reliable financial plan. It's just not. It can make you money, but if that's why you're doing it, man, you're going to be unhappy. You're going to be needy. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be resentful because you're chasing something you just can't control. That's the worst fucking place you can live in as an actor. That's the worst, most toxic place you can be. So we got to rewire this brain, and we got to just chase the joy of acting, you know, because we're not entitled to this career. I'm going to say, and no one is making money from just acting. Even the biggest A-listers, they got liquor deals, they got tequila brands, they got wine deals, they got skincare, they got workout programs, they got podcasts, etc., etc., etc. No one is making their money from just acting. And so figure out something else you love that can help support your dream, that aligns with the acting, you know, and don't be like me where you're too late and you've been bartending for 6-7 years, you know? All right. Moving on. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, talk about a couple fun things. Performance of the week. Performance I saw over the week that I absolutely loved. And to start off, it's not even one performance. It's an entire season of a show. Beef. Season 2. I've been talking to everybody about this. What really stood out to me about this show it wasn't the individual performances, the writing, the chemistry. Every actor in every scene is pushing something forward. They have this front forward energy, this what they call it in grad school, is front footedness. Mark Wing Davey, NYU grad acting, used to be the chair there, but he always talks about like this front footedness, and it's constant momentum. The stakes never drop. And yeah, you know, some of that's directing, some of that's editing, you know, it's TV, you know, shout out to those directors and editors. But the actors, man, you still have to carry that moment to moment. And I'm going to use another grad school reference. Nobody drops the ball. Nobody drops the ball in that show. For example, like in grad school, we have to learn how to juggle. First year, you have to learn how to juggle in grad school. 2 ball, 3 balls. I can never go past 3 balls, whatever. And then once we learned how to juggle in the first year, the second year, we would do our lines while juggling. Whatever play, whatever monologue we were working on, we would have to juggle and learn our lines and not drop the ball. You're always doing something. You're always in action. You know, you're always pushing something forward. And that's what this show feels like. You know, the stakes are high because they're juggling so many balls. You know, every actor is playing a want. Every action has this forward kind of pressure. Nobody's just saying lines and just it just feels so alive. And you see it across the board with all the actors. You know, you got people like Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan. Obviously incredible legendary actors. But then you got these two actors I haven't really seen before, Charles Melton and Kaylee Spaney. And they are just as these kids are good, man. These little Gen Xers are good, or Gen Zers are good. You know, and that's how you know this show's working, because the energy between these two groups, the Oscar Isaac, Kelly Mulligan, and the Charles Melton, the Kaylee Spaney, you know, that energy is alive. And then you got one of the all-time great character actors in it, people. This dude, William Fichtner. If you don't know who William Fichtner is, he's incredible. This dude, he's been in everything. He's literally he's literally one of those actors who you see his face, you're like, oh, that's the guy. I know that guy. One of the journeyman actors. Dude's been in Dark Knight. He was like the bank teller in the beginning. He was in Armageddon. He's in a bunch of stuff. He's just so good, man. He plays this rich Montecito country club guy, and Every time he's on screen, you're just like, yeah, that's that guy. You know, he's so specific. He's so grounded. He's so effortless. But honestly, man, I showed up for Isaac and Mulligan, and I stayed for Melton and Spaney. I stayed for those kids because they were great. And I'm going to call it right now. I'm calling it right now. That Charles Melton kid, he's damn good. I guarantee you he's going to be in the MCU. He's going to be one of the new X-Men. Guarantee it. Calling it right now. I think he's going to be Cyclops. I do. Because the writers from Beef are writing the new X-Men, and they got the director, Jake Schreier, who did Thunderbolts, directed the last episode of Beef, and now he's going to be directing X-Men Connections. And that dude, honestly, I could see that Kaylee Spaney girl doing it too, but that dude specifically, he's got it. Charles Melton, he's got it. And I think he's going to be the new Cyclops. I guarantee it. Calling it now. But yeah, performance of the week. All of Beef Season 2. Just fucking watch it. All right. Final segment for the first episode of the podcast is we're going to be doing this thing called Gem of the Week. This is where I pull something from a book, movie, video, interview, whatever, something that actually changed the way that I work. And this week, love 'em or hate 'em, we're going to be doing a quote from David Mamet's True or False, one of the best acting books out there. So, bottom of page 63. Chapter is called Oral Interpretation. I'll read you this quote. Here is what I have learned in a lifetime of playwriting. It doesn't matter how you say your lines. What matters is what you mean. What comes from the heart goes to the heart. The rest is just funny voices. One more time. It doesn't matter how you say the lines. What matters is what you mean. What comes from the heart goes to the heart. The rest is funny voices. I think that's huge. Because we get obsessed, especially beginning actors. We get obsessed with how to say something. How do I sound natural? What's the right inflection? Should I hit, this word? Should I emphasize this word or that word? Or should I go faster here? Like, what sounds natural? And yeah, that stuff can matter, but it's not the most important thing. It's not the point. The point is, why are you saying? What are you trying to get to? What are you trying to communicate to the other person? Because if that's clear, if your intention is clear and what you want from the other person is clear, the words just take care of themselves. They're not that important. In real life, we don't plan how we are going to say every single word. We just know that we need something, or we know that we need to confess something. Here's a real life example. I'm going to have to, later today, confess to my wife that I forgot her favorite dipping sauce, spicy mayonnaise, at my work. Because at the restaurant that I work at, we have this bomb-ass, homemade, spicy mayonnaise. The sauce is like crack. It's so good to dip in the fries. We go to In-N-Out Burger. We get the same order every time. Flying Dutchman, whole grilled onion wrap to start as a little appetizer. And then we'll get so you get the double, no tomatoes, grilled onions, regular fries, and a Dr. Pepper. I get a double, mustard fried, no pickles, regular fries, sometimes animal fries if I'm feeling crazy, with some side of hot peppers and a Diet Coke. That's what I get. And she loves having that spicy mayonnaise to dip her fries in. And I fucked up this week. And I didn't get it. I forgot. So now, when she comes in home, she walks through that door, I got to explain to her why I fucked up and how I fucked up and that I didn't get her favorite spicy mayonnaise sauce. And I'm not going to be thinking, I guarantee you, I'm not going to be thinking about what's the best way for me to say this. How do I sound natural saying this? I'm not going to be thinking that. I'm going to be thinking, okay, how do I say this to her without getting killed? How can I confess this to her with her maybe going easy on me? I'm just trying to survive. That's acting. It's not about the specific words. It's about the specific want. So yeah, learn your lines. Once you know them, who gives a fuck about getting them right? Say them because you need something, because meaning is always going to beat the delivery. That's it. That's it for the very first episode of the Bad Actor Podcast. The Bad Actor or Bad Actor Podcast. I don't know. Maybe I'll cut the. I don't know yet. But thank you so much for listening. It means so much. If there's more than 3 of you listening, I'll count that as a win. I'll be dropping new episodes every Tuesday or Wednesday. Once I figure out these technical things, I'll get more of a consistent schedule. But yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. And until then, my friends, I'll catch you later.